Have you ever looked at a 1960 Lincoln penny and wondered if the smallest coin in your pocket could quietly be hiding an extraordinary story? Most people spend these coins without a second thought. A few stop and look closer, and every once in a while, someone discovers that what seemed ordinary was anything but. Before you dismiss that old penny in your change jar, stay with me, because one tiny detail could make all the difference. The 1960 Lincoln cent was struck at the Denver Mint during a time when billions of pennies were produced for everyday commerce. At first glance, that sounds like the opposite of rare. But experienced collectors know that true value is rarely about age alone. It is about condition, unusual minting characteristics, and genuine mint errors that transform an everyday coin into something collectors compete to own. Imagine finding an old penny tucked inside a forgotten coffee can in your garage. Sounds like something from a movie, right? Yet stories like that continue to inspire collectors across America. The exciting part is that remarkable discoveries often begin with coins that looked completely ordinary. Now comes the twist. Certain 1960 pennies displaying dramatic off-center strikes, doubled design elements, die cracks, clipped planchets, or other authentic mint errors have attracted significant attention in the collector market. Coins preserved in exceptional mint condition are especially desirable because so few escaped decades of circulation without damage. The combination of rarity, eye appeal, and professional authentication is what separates an ordinary cent from one that sparks bidding wars. Some headlines even mention examples with extraordinary asking prices or sensational value claims reaching hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes approaching figures as high as $961,000 for exceptionally rare and unique specimens. Those headline numbers apply only to extraordinary coins with exceptional characteristics, not to typical circulated examples. That distinction is exactly why careful examination matters before making assumptions about any old penny. Here is where many people make their biggest mistake. They clean the coin. Please don't. Cleaning can permanently reduce a collectible coin's value faster than almost anything else. A natural surface is often far more desirable than a shiny one. That little decision could mean the difference between preserving collector interest and destroying it forever. So before you spend another old penny, ask yourself one simple question. What if this is the coin everyone else overlooked? History has proven that hidden treasures sometimes sit unnoticed for decades before the right person recognizes them. That person could be someone sorting through spare change at the kitchen table tonight. The next time a 1960 Lincoln cent crosses your path, don't see just one cent. See a possibility. Examine it carefully. Compare its details. And remember that knowledge is the greatest treasure any collector can own. Sometimes the smallest coin carries the biggest surprise, and the next remarkable discovery could already be waiting in your own pocket. Have you ever tossed a 1967 Lincoln penny into a jar without giving it a second thought? What if that ordinary-looking cent could be the one coin collectors dream about, with certain extraordinary examples reaching astonishing prices? Before you dismiss the pennies hiding in your pocket, your change jar, or that forgotten coffee can in the garage, you may want to take another look. The next coin you spend could become the story you regret telling for years. The 1967 Lincoln 1-cent penny was struck during a unique period in American coin history when the U.S. Mint temporarily removed mint marks from circulating coins. That means every genuine 1967 Lincoln cent appears without a mint mark, making many people mistakenly believe they have discovered a rare error. But the real treasure lies elsewhere, and that's where this story becomes fascinating. Most 1967 pennies are worth only a few cents. Yet a tiny number stand apart because of exceptional preservation, dramatic minting errors, or remarkable eye appeal. These are the coins that ignite bidding wars among serious collectors. Imagine discovering a nearly flawless specimen with a rare double die, an off-center strike, or a dramatic die crack that transforms an ordinary penny into an extraordinary collectible. Those are the details that can send values soaring. Now here's a question. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies in your wallet? Exactly. Most people don't. That's why remarkable discoveries continue to happen decades after these coins entered circulation. The excitement grows when you realize that condition can make an unbelievable difference. A worn coin that bought candy years ago may remain ordinary, but an untouched example with blazing original color can command astonishing premiums. Collectors compete fiercely for the finest known pieces because perfection is incredibly difficult to find after nearly 60 years. But don't rush to celebrate just yet. Counterfeit alterations and damaged coins often fool inexperienced sellers into believing they've struck gold. The smartest collectors carefully examine the date, the surfaces, the strike quality, and any unusual characteristics before making conclusions. Patience is often the difference between disappointment and an unforgettable payday. Here's where the story takes another surprising turn. While sensational headlines sometimes mention values approaching $967,000 for extraordinary, one-of-a-kind examples with exceptional rarity and collector demand, those prices represent the absolute top of the market rather than typical values. Still, history has repeatedly shown that rare coins discovered in everyday collections can change lives. So before another handful of pennies disappears into a vending machine or donation jar, slow down. Look closely. Examine every 1967 Lincoln cent without a mint mark. One careful inspection could uncover the coin everyone else overlooked. Sometimes extraordinary wealth doesn't arrive in a luxury car or a winning lottery ticket. Sometimes it quietly waits inside a single forgotten penny, hoping someone finally recognizes its true value before it's gone forever. Have you ever looked at a 1979 Lincoln cent and wondered if the smallest coin in your pocket could quietly change your financial future? Most people spend these pennies without a second thought. But every now and then, an ordinary-looking coin hides an extraordinary story. The difference between a 1-cent coin and a life-changing collectible can come down to tiny details almost nobody notices. Before you dismiss that old jar of change sitting in your home, you may want to hear what makes certain 1979 Lincoln cents so fascinating. In 1979, the Denver Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents, making the vast majority worth only face value. That sounds like the end of the story, but it is actually where the mystery begins. Among those billions are a handful of coins that stand apart because of exceptional minting errors, remarkable preservation, or unique collector demand. These are the coins that ignite bidding wars and make headlines in the numismatic world. Now imagine discovering that one overlooked detail on a coin you've owned for decades. Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Yet collectors search every day because remarkable finds continue to appear from old collections, forgotten piggy banks, and inherited coin albums. That's why experienced collectors never assume a common date means a common value. Here's where the excitement builds. Examine the mint mark, inspect the lettering, and study the surfaces under good lighting. Look for dramatic off-center strikes, double design elements, die cracks, broad strikes, or coins preserved in extraordinary mint condition. While ordinary 1979 cents are common, truly exceptional examples with significant minting errors or elite certified grades can command astonishing premiums compared with face value. And here's the surprising part. If you're already thinking about emptying every coin jar in the house, you're not alone. Somewhere, someone is probably doing exactly that right now. It may sound funny, but today's loose change has inspired countless treasure hunts across America. The greatest mistake isn't overlooking a valuable coin. It's assuming you could never own one. History has shown that remarkable discoveries often happen to ordinary people who simply decided to look more carefully than everyone else. Some online stories mention spectacular prices approaching hundreds of thousands of dollars or even more, but those figures apply only to extraordinarily rare, authenticated examples with exceptional characteristics. The average 1979 Lincoln cent is not worth those headline numbers, making careful examination and professional authentication absolutely essential before drawing conclusions. The next time a single penny lands in your hand, pause for just a moment. That tiny piece of copper could simply be another cent, or it could be the beginning of an unforgettable journey into hidden history, remarkable rarity, and the thrilling possibility that extraordinary value has been waiting in plain sight all along. Have you ever tossed a 1985 Lincoln penny into a jar without a second thought? What if that ordinary-looking 1-cent coin was quietly hiding a story that could completely change the way you look at your spare change forever? Collectors across America have discovered that the biggest treasures often arrive disguised as the most common coins. And in rare circumstances, a 1985 D Lincoln cent with the right combination of striking errors, exceptional condition, and collector demand has sparked astonishing conversations about values reaching as high as $985,000. Before you spend another penny, you'll want to hear the rest of this story. The Denver Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents in 1985, making them seem almost impossible to imagine as valuable. That's exactly why so many remarkable pieces slipped into circulation unnoticed. While most examples remain worth only face value, a tiny number stand apart because of dramatic minting mistakes that transformed an everyday coin into something collectors chase with incredible determination. Imagine opening an old coffee can filled with pennies inherited from a family member. You expect loose change. Instead, you discover a coin that specialists have spent years searching for. Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Yet stories like these continue to fuel the excitement of coin collecting. So what separates an ordinary 1985 D penny from one that commands extraordinary attention? Experts examine every detail. A strong double die, an off-center strike, a broad strike, or other genuine mint errors can make collectors stop in their tracks. Crisp original surfaces, blazing luster, and virtually flawless preservation can push demand even higher. Suddenly, a coin that blended into everyday pocket change becomes the centerpiece of a serious collection. Here's the surprising part. Many people overlook these details because they're in a hurry. They glance at the date, shrug, and spend the coin on a cup of coffee. Imagine discovering years later that your morning coffee may have cost you a fortune. That's a joke collectors laugh about until it actually happens. But don't start celebrating just yet. Not every unusual-looking penny is rare, and not every online claim is accurate. The highest prices are typically reserved for exceptional coins authenticated by respected grading services and supported by competitive auction demand. Condition, rarity, and verified mint errors always matter more than wishful thinking. That brings us to the real lesson. Every forgotten penny deserves a closer look before it's dismissed. The next coin waiting inside an old piggy bank, hidden in a drawer, or resting in a forgotten coin album could surprise you. Sometimes the greatest opportunities aren't found by spending more money. They're found by paying closer attention to the money you already have. Your next life-changing discovery might be only one penny away, and the search begins the moment you decide to look instead of spend. Have you ever tossed a penny into a jar without giving it a second thought? What if that ordinary-looking 1986 Lincoln 1-cent coin without a mint mark was quietly holding the power to transform your financial future? It sounds unbelievable, yet some collectors spend years searching for coins that everyone else overlooks. The next time you reach into your pocket, you may want to slow down because one small detail could make all the difference. The 1986 Lincoln cent without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, where coins from that year were produced in enormous numbers. Most are worth only a cent, but every now and then, a remarkable example appears that completely changes the story. Coins with extraordinary condition, rare striking abnormalities, or dramatic mint errors have captured the attention of serious collectors willing to pay astonishing prices for the finest examples. Now here's where things become interesting. Imagine finding a coin with a bold off-center strike, a dramatic die crack, a double design, or an impressive broad strike error. Add nearly flawless surfaces and exceptional preservation, and suddenly that ordinary penny begins attracting competitive bidding from collectors across the country. Some of the rarest examples have been discussed with values approaching an incredible $986,000 under extraordinary circumstances. Before you run to the nearest coin jar, here's a question. When was the last time you actually looked at your pennies instead of spending them? Funny how we inspect expensive purchases but almost never examine the money already sitting in our homes. The real treasure hunt begins with careful observation. Look closely at Lincoln's portrait, the date, the lettering, and the edges of the coin. Search for doubling, missing details, unusual metal flow, or signs that the strike was different from normal production. Even tiny differences can separate an ordinary cent from one that collectors desperately want to own. But here's the catch that catches many people by surprise. Cleaning the coin, polishing it, or trying to make it shine can destroy much of its collector value. A naturally preserved coin is almost always more desirable than one that has been altered. Sometimes doing absolutely nothing is the smartest financial decision you can make. As excitement builds, remember that professional authentication is essential before believing any extraordinary value claim. Certified coins receive expert evaluation for authenticity, condition, and possible mint errors, giving buyers confidence and often increasing market demand. So before another handful of pennies disappears into a cash register or donation jar, pause for just a moment. Hidden among everyday pocket change could be a forgotten piece of American minting history waiting for the right person to recognize its true potential. Your next great financial discovery may not come from winning the lottery or making a risky investment. It could begin with a single 1986 Lincoln cent that everyone else believed was worth only 1 penny. And that possibility is exactly why collectors never stop looking. What if one of those ordinary-looking coins could quietly be worth far more than a luxury home? Somewhere in America, a 1988 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark could still be hiding in circulation, waiting for someone who knows exactly what to look for. The difference between spending it for 1 cent and selling it for an astonishing amount could come down to a few tiny details that most people never notice. The 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny was struck for circulation at the Philadelphia Mint, where pennies of that year typically carried no mint mark at all. Millions were produced, making them appear common at first glance. But experienced collectors understand that rarity is not always created by low production numbers. Sometimes it is born from extraordinary minting mistakes, unusual die varieties, and exceptional preservation. Now here is where the story becomes truly fascinating. A handful of 1988 pennies have captured enormous attention because of dramatic mint errors and rare transitional die characteristics. These unusual coins stand apart from the billions of ordinary cents that pass through cash registers every day. Under magnification, doubling in the lettering, off-center strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, or other significant minting abnormalities can transform an ordinary penny into a collector's dream. But don't stop searching yet. The condition of the coin can be just as important as the error itself. A brilliant uncirculated example with original mint luster can command dramatically higher prices than a worn coin that spent decades in circulation. Every scratch, fingerprint, or cleaning attempt can affect value, which is why knowledgeable collectors always recommend leaving a potentially valuable coin untouched until it has been professionally evaluated. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies sitting in your change jar? Be honest. If you're like most people, they've been ignored for years. That forgotten coffee can in the garage could be far more interesting than you ever imagined. As excitement surrounding rare Lincoln cents continues to grow, exceptional examples have attracted extraordinary attention from serious collectors. Some reports and online claims have suggested that the finest known examples and remarkable error varieties could approach values as high as $988,000 under extraordinary market conditions. While values always depend on authenticity, rarity, condition, and collector demand, one remarkable discovery can completely change someone's financial future. That possibility is exactly why collectors never stop searching. Every handful of pennies represents another chance. Every inherited coin collection deserves a closer inspection. Every forgotten piggy bank might contain a hidden treasure waiting to be recognized. The next time you receive change, don't rush to spend it. Slow down. Turn each penny over. Study the date. Examine every detail. Because somewhere, perhaps much closer than you think, a remarkable 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny could still be waiting to reward the person who refused to overlook one small cent with extraordinary potential. Have you ever dropped a penny into a jar without a second thought? What if that ordinary-looking 2004 Lincoln 1 cent with no mint mark was quietly hiding a story that could change the way you look at every coin in your pocket forever? While millions of these pennies were made for everyday spending, a tiny handful stand apart because of extraordinary minting errors, exceptional preservation, and collector demand that can send values into astonishing territory. Some of the rarest examples have been associated with eye-popping auction prices, and stories of coins reaching values approaching $924,000 have fueled an incredible search across America. Before you spend another penny, you may want to hear the rest of this story. The 2004 Lincoln cent without a mint mark was struck in Philadelphia, where no mint mark was placed on circulating cents that year. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary. Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait is there, and the reverse features the Lincoln Memorial that millions of Americans recognize instantly. But appearances can be wonderfully deceptive. Here's where the excitement begins. Collectors don't simply chase age. They chase rarity within the ordinary. A dramatic off-center strike, a broad strike, a double die, a die crack, or an off-metal error can transform an everyday coin into something collectors dream about owning. Add brilliant original luster, razor-sharp details, and an untouched surface, and suddenly that little copper-plated cent enters an entirely different conversation. Now imagine opening an old coffee can in your garage or a forgotten piggy bank from 20 years ago. Sounds impossible? That's exactly what thousands of treasure hunters think until they discover something unusual. And yes, most pennies are worth only 1 cent. That's the funny part. Your neighbors might laugh while you're checking pocket change, right up until someone finds the coin they overlooked. But don't stop searching yet, because the biggest surprise may come from what most people ignore. Look closely for unusual doubling in the lettering, strange strike characteristics, missing design elements, or other genuine mint errors. Even coins without dramatic errors can command impressive premiums if they remain in exceptional, uncirculated condition and receive top professional grades. The difference between an ordinary cent and an extraordinary one often comes down to tiny details invisible to a casual glance. That is why experienced collectors examine every coin carefully before making any decision to spend or sell it. So the next time a 2004 Lincoln penny without a mint mark lands in your hand, don't dismiss it as spare change. Take a closer look, because history has shown that remarkable discoveries often begin with the smallest coins. Your next great find may already be waiting in your pocket, quietly hiding among ordinary change, ready to reward the person who took just one extra moment to look. Have you ever tossed a 2006 Lincoln penny into a jar without a second thought? Imagine discovering that one ordinary-looking cent in your pocket could be the coin collectors have been searching for. Before you spend another penny, you may want to look a little closer, because the smallest details can make the biggest difference. The 2006 Lincoln 1 cent with no mint mark was produced for circulation at the Philadelphia Mint, where pennies traditionally carry no mint mark. Millions were made, and most are worth only face value. But that is where the story takes an unexpected turn. Hidden among countless ordinary coins are a tiny number that stand out because of dramatic minting errors, exceptional preservation, or unusual characteristics that can send collectors into bidding wars. Think about that for a moment. How many pennies have passed through your hands over the years? Hundreds? Thousands? What if one of them deserved a second look instead of a trip to the cash register? Now, don't start planning your private island just yet. Most 2006 pennies are common. But the rare exceptions remind us why collectors inspect every coin so carefully. Some of the most valuable examples include major off-center strikes, broad strikes, dramatic die cracks, double strike errors, and coins showing strong doubling created during the minting process. Others owe their value to flawless condition. A coin that has never entered circulation and earns an elite professional grade can command a substantial premium compared with an ordinary pocket change example. That is why experienced collectors never judge a coin by its date alone. They study the surfaces, the lettering, Lincoln's portrait, the reverse design, and every tiny detail that might separate an everyday cent from an extraordinary collectible. Here's the surprising part. Stories of valuable coins discovered in old jars, inherited collections, dresser drawers, and forgotten piggy banks continue to inspire treasure hunters across America. Those discoveries fuel the excitement that keeps millions of people checking their change every single day. So, could your 2006 penny be worth hundreds, thousands, or even more? It's possible, but only if it has genuinely rare characteristics and its authenticity and condition are verified by a respected grading service. Extraordinary prices are reserved for exceptionally rare examples, not ordinary circulation coins. Before you spend that next handful of pennies, slow down. Examine each one carefully under good light. Compare unusual features. Protect anything that looks different. And learn what separates a collectible rarity from an everyday coin. because history has proven one unforgettable lesson. Sometimes incredible opportunities arrive disguised as the smallest piece of pocket change, and the next remarkable discovery could be waiting quietly in your own collection, just one penny away from changing the story you tell forever.